Jesus Christ.
My name's Megan, but thank you.
Hi, I'm Jan, and I'm a photographer who loves cooking. Over the next 12 months, I'll be learning about food and documenting everything, of course. Welcome to Love, Hate, and What I Ate. Today on the menu, dumplings. We're going to Amsterdam to talk to Megan, an American who made the switch from working in a bank to owning a food business making fusion dumplings. She'll tell us her story and give us some precious dumpling making tips. So, when did you know you were going to start a food business?
I think the answer is I didn't really know.
Okay.
I studied nutrition, so I was always interested in food. And then I ended up doing a master's in public health research. And then I accidentally ended up working in banking. So that took me down a much different path. But while I was working in the bank, it just became apparent that, I needed something else. And I somehow concocted this dumpling idea. When I decided to actually turn it into a business, I'm still not sure about. But I started very slow. So I started doing events on weekends, like markets and pop-up dinners and that sort of thing. And then from there, it just kind of grew.
What was it like starting a business in Amsterdam as an American?
From an administrative perspective, I think Amsterdam is probably the best possible place to start a business. You walk down to the KVK, you're there for 10 minutes. KVK is the Chamber of Commerce, as you would call it. And you have a business in 10 minutes, and it's great. I will say it was more expatty in the beginning, than my customers, just because what I was doing was not really seen in the Dutch market. Dumplings were kind of one thing, but then taking dumplings and filling them with kind of strange fillings or atypical fillings was kind of taking it one step further. So it took a little while to get hold, but then soon enough, there were restaurants asking me for dumplings, and it just grew from there. When you're making your filling, especially if it's a vegetarian filling, make sure it's not too wet. There's a few ways you can do that. One is by making sure you don't add too many wet ingredients, things like soy sauce or sesame or salsa or whatever, if you're getting kind of weird with it like we like to. So keep those to a minimum and see if you can add flavor in a drier way. The other way to do that is when you use your vegetables, make sure you salt them a little bit and then squeeze them out in a towel before you put them in your dumplings. This will make sure that the salt from your seasoning in the dumplings doesn't draw too much water out when the dumplings are cooking. This way, most of the water will already be out.
Give me an example of an atypical dumpling or an atypical dumpling filling.
I'll give you a few examples. I have an arsenal of probably 100 recipes. I just made so many different dumplings over the years for different events. Some were custom made for Michelin-star restaurants. I'm going to throw that in there.
Okay.
And other dumplings were just things of my own design. I just thought, a brunchling sounds good. So sausage, egg, and cheese dumpling. Thank you very much.
Wow.
But our signature flavors now. So I've narrowed it right down. And we've got 4 dumplings that we're having sort of on tap year round. One is Mexican veggie. So that is a vegan dumpling, and that's kind of one of the original dumplings, let's say, that we did. Then there's the buffalo chicken. So that's basically my take on an American hot wing flavor, which I sell in marked as garlic and herb chicken dumpling because buffalo chicken doesn't really translate very well to most of the audience. Then there's the Thai red curry dumpling, which is another vegan dumpling. And then there is the drunk chicken dumpling, which is our newest addition and is kind of the closest we get to a traditional dumpling, what people think of when they think of dumplings usually, that kind of soy, ginger, spring onion sort of flavor. But we put a little extra rice wine in there to give it a little pinch spin. The other important thing when you're making dumplings is to make sure your filling has some sort of binding. So when you make a meat dumpling, the meat often acts as that binder and the vegetables sort of, go into the meat. But particularly when you're making vegetarian dumplings, it's important to have something to kind of hold everything together. Some creative things that we do, especially if you want to keep it vegan, because egg is a common one, but our dumplings, we either do meat dumplings or vegan dumplings. For vegan ones, we use things like potatoes, mashed potatoes, we use chickpeas, we use black beans. So anything that can kind of be mashed up and can almost have the vegetables added to it, is a great way to bind your dumplings without any animal products.
You're from the States, and across the Atlantic, I think dumplings have been a thing for a much longer time than here. Like, I see now trendy restaurants serving dumplings popping up, but it wasn't like that, like, I don't know, 3 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah. When we started, which was, gosh, I guess a little over 4 years ago now, there was, very few dumplings around. I mean, there were some that you find in the traditional like dim sum restaurants. There was also, when we very first started at the neighbor food market, there were these Georgian dumplings called kinkali, and we called them the Georgia Boys. I don't know, that wasn't really their name, but they did these dumplings, and they actually have a restaurant now, which is very, very encouraging to see in East. And their kinkali are amazing and delicious, so highly recommend that as a little treat. It definitely has changed a lot in the past few years. There's places, like you said, restaurants are adding them to their menu, and there's more kind of dumpling specific places that are popping up, or places that are getting known for their dumplings. So that's very exciting to see. More dumplings in the world, the better, in my opinion. And my favorite way to cook them personally is the pot sticker method. So what that means is you throw a little bit of oil in the pan, you put the dumplings in straight from frozen, and you get them a little brown on one side. Once they're brown, you just throw a splash of water in and put the lid on and steam them the rest of the way. That way they have a little bit of crispiness, a little bit of chewiness, and those are my favorite ways to eat dumplings. All the textures, all the flavors.
Are you drawing inspiration from the dumplings you tried in the States?
When I was in university, it was very easy for me to go down to what would be the, Albert Heijn of my area, and just get dumplings out of the freezer section. Big bags of dumplings, they just lived in my freezer, and I had them for dinner like most nights of the week, just dumplings with some like stir-fried veggies or salad or whatever. So it's something that's been a part of my diet for a long time. Growing up, my first introduction to dumplings ever was the Polish pierogi. So I'm from Ohio, which is part of the pierogi belt, as we call it. A lot of Polish immigrants, moved there years and years ago. But we have a lot of the food traditions that everybody's just kind of adopted. The way that people here eat Italian, we eat dumplings and kielbasa and, all these things. So, in the States, the dumplings I was eating were a little more, on that traditional side, that ginger, soy sauce, sesame, that kind of flavor profile. But I think as much as I resist my Americanness a lot of the time, I think what I'm doing with dumplings is kind of the most American thing ever. And that's just taking a little bit of inspiration from everywhere. I'm not really sure what American food is, things that people throw out there like hamburgers or hot dogs or whatever, they all came from somewhere else. So I think the most American thing you can do is pull from all the different cultures and hopefully create something tasty.
And speaking of that, have you been accused of cultural appropriation?
Not until just now.
I didn't say that.
I never actually have, to be honest. And it's something that's been a real fear of mine because, the food world can be very sensitive. When it comes to the flavor profiles, my inspiration is just what I've eaten, and I've had the opportunity to eat really amazing food from all over the world and, from all different cultures and cuisines. So the other thing is there's so many cultures that have some version of a dumpling. Like I said, pierogi, Polish pierogi were the first dumplings I was introduced to. And then as I got older and just got to eat more food from different cultures, you're like, oh, there's Tibetan momo, and there's, the Chinese dim sum, and there's Japanese gyoza, and there's Georgian kinkali, and there's, some people would argue empanadas are a form of dumpling, a carby outside with a delicious inside. So I just think dumplings are for everybody. And if you can mash flavors together and make something delicious and it puts a smile on somebody's face, that's what matters. So we're going to show you multiple ways that you can either dress up your dumplings or really level up by making it a full meal. Thai red curry dumplings. These are a vegan dumpling. If you want to do it level 1, make them beautiful and delicious, but you just want to serve dumplings as maybe a starter, serve them with an easy sweet chili sauce. Thai red curry level 2, this is when you want to make it a meal. So what we're going to do here is we're going to serve it with a mango salad. This has lots of veggies in it, a delicious dressing, topped with peanuts and coriander, and also give your dumplings a little bit of love with a little extra garnish. So with the Mexican veggie dumplings, these are vegan dumplings, and if you want to do it level 1, where you want to make them beautiful, serve them with a guacamole. You can keep it vegan this way, and they'll be super delicious. A little garnish never hurt anybody, so feel free to get creative with that. If you want to take it up a notch with the Mexican veggie dumplings, one of my favorite things when I visited Mexico was elote, which is a sort of a street food that's with a corn base. This is not vegan, so it's something to keep in mind. You could veganize it if you want to, but this is grilled corn, and what we've done is we've taken the corn, it's mixed with a concoction of sour cream, mayonnaise, some fresh cheese, and some spices and herbs. And that goes right on the corn, and you can serve your dumplings alongside it. And that way you have delicious dumplings plus a tasty side dish to go with. With the drunk chicken dumplings, these are the most classic tasting dumplings. So these are perfect for an Asian inspired dumpling bowl. With this, you can take a broth of your choice. You can make your own and kind of sex it up a little bit with some ginger, star anise. So some leaf lettuce, some pak choi, braised shiitake mushrooms. Just add them in there with the chicken dumplings, and it makes an amazing, beautiful dumpling soup. And you can also add noodles or rice if you want to make it a little heftier of a meal. The drunk chicken dumplings have ginger and scallions already in them, so a perfect accompaniment to this is the ginger scallion sauce that is homemade. It's worth the effort, it's not a lot of time, and it takes these dumplings next level without being too complicated.
Well, thank you, Megan, and thank you for watching. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Instagram, where I also share my landscapes, cityscapes, and some quirky client work. If you have any dumpling making tips, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to make my own in an upcoming video, but until then, bye!